Have you ever unloaded your entire trauma history on someone you just met, then wondered why it felt more disconnecting than close? Do you ever tell your deepest stuff to a coworker, a first date, a stranger in a comment section and call it being vulnerable? Do you replay the conversation afterward and feel worse, not lighter? Here's the reframe. Oversharing isn't the same as connecting. Sometimes what feels like opening up is actually trauma dumping, and it can push people away instead of pulling them closer. Here are 5 signs you're doing it and what real connection actually looks like. Sign 1. You share with anyone, not just people who've earned it. Do you tell your backstory to people you barely know? Trauma dumping often skips the step where trust is built slowly. Instead, the details come out fast with whoever happens to be in front of you. Psychologists sometimes describe this as emotional flooding, when the nervous system releases stored stress the moment it senses an opening, whether or not the person on the other end is actually safe. It's a bit like Ted Lasso's Be a Goldfish, except in reverse. Instead of letting go of the pain, you're handing it to whoever's nearest. This isn't you being too much. It's your body trying to release pressure the fastest way it knows before your mind can pick the right person. Sign 2. You don't check if they have the capacity to hold it. Have you noticed you rarely ask, is now a good time before diving into something heavy? Real connection checks in first. Trauma dumping assumes the floor is always open. Therapists often point out that consent isn't just about physical boundaries. It applies to emotional labor too. Someone can care about you and still not have room that day. Skipping that check isn't selfish. It usually means no one ever checked in with you growing up, so the habit never got modeled for you. You're not inconsiderate, you're just working from a blueprint nobody handed you on purpose. Sign 3. The conversation goes one direction and stays there. Do you notice the exchange readily loops back to ask about their day, their stress, their life? Trauma dumping tends to be a monologue dressed up as a conversation. Connection is a back and forth. This isn't about being a bad friend, it's often what happens when venting became the only tool you ever learned for feeling close to someone instead of actual mutual exchange. Think of it like a group chat where one person only ever posts updates and never reacts to anyone else's. Eventually, the thread goes quiet. You're not selfish for needing to be heard, you might just be missing the second half of the skill, reciprocity. Quick aside, if that last one stung a little, you're not alone. Keep going, it gets gentler from here. Sign 4. You feel worse, not lighter afterward. Ever leave a conversation replaying every word, cringing, wondering if you said too much? Real emotional release usually leaves you calmer. Trauma dumping often leads a hangover of shame because some part of you knows the exchange wasn't mutual or safe. Research on co-regulation shows that true relief comes from feeling received, not just from talking. If the other person didn't actually attune to you, your body doesn't register the moment as resolved. So it sits there, unprocessed, waiting for the next outlet. That heavy feeling afterward isn't proof you're broken, it's a sign the exchange didn't do what your nervous system actually needed it to do. Sign 5. You use it as a test or an icebreaker. Do you find yourself bringing up something painful early, almost like you're watching how someone reacts? Sometimes trauma dumping doubles as an unconscious loyalty test. If they stay, they're safe. If they flinch, you already knew. It's the same instinct as a guarded character deciding whether to trust someone by dropping something dark and reading their face. It's a fast way to sort people, but it also skips the slower version of trust building most people actually need before they can safely reciprocate. You're not manipulative for doing this, you're protecting yourself the only way you learned how, just faster than the relationship can actually hold. What to do about it? This doesn't mean you should silence yourself. It means slowing the release down. Try naming the ask before you share. Can I vent for a second, or is this not a good time? It's a small sentence that turns dumping into consent. Notice who you're sharing with. Save the heaviest stuff for the 1 or 2 people who've actually shown they can hold it, and keep lighter connection with everyone else. And after sharing, ask them something back, even something small, so the exchange becomes a loop instead of a drop. None of this means being less honest. It means building the kind of trust where honesty actually lands somewhere safe. So if you've ever wondered why opening up sometimes leaves you feeling more alone, it's rarely because you're too much. It usually means the sharing hasn't found its right container yet. You're allowed to have needs. You're allowed to be witnessed. You just deserve people who can actually hold what you're carrying. Which of these hit closest for you? Drop it in the comments, and if this resonated, we'll dig into what secure emotional intimacy actually looks like in the next one.